I think as this is being recorded late at night, I'm automatically making the statement that this isn't going to be a comfort of any sort. Um, I, as a person, am very vulgar. I don't have much of a filter when it comes to the things I say. Don't take that for as I'm not respectful. The later it gets, the more like unfiltered the thoughts become. So I don't know what this is. I kind of had the idea to do this when I was coming home, and it was late at night, and I was listening to a sad playlist on Spotify because that's a good thing to do when you're depressed, is listening to sad music on long car rides home and overthinking about the world around you. Um, let's talk on that real briefly. Depression, huh? I I see a lot of videos, especially on TikTok, about this trend where it's, oh, I started off the pandemic as this and all of a sudden I'm this. And I just find that really amusing to me because of how true it is for so many people. I guess that's why it's a trend. But I mean, it's not a trend. It's personal experience, you go through that. Like I started off the pandemic thinking it was going to be a 2-week vacation, and now I'm making a podcast in my basement. So, but yeah, uh, over the pandemic, I definitely thought that I got like the least brunt of it, I guess. And I say over the pandemic, and I really mean the past, like, what, 16 months, 17 months? Um, I definitely thought I like evaded the I miss my friends, oh, I miss going to school, because I was more concerned about, like not dying and stuff like that. Um, I didn't really care about, not seeing friends, like the D&D group that I had. We met over Discord anyway, so it wasn't that big of a deal to me. Um, but as I've slowly started to come out of the pandemic haze, as I'm calling it, where I was, so obsessed with the fact that I could die at any moment, because that's what it was. I think in the beginning it was. I actually remember when the first cases came to the U.S. I remember the news reporter over the radio was talking about 25 cases, and I think it was Minnesota or something like that, an M state of some kind. I'll never know. Um, but I remember sitting in the back seat of my mother's car and saying, "Oh, it's 25 out of 328 million, like they're making a big deal of it. It's not a problem, you know." And so here we are now, and the entire world has gone to shit. Um I really think that harkens back to that trend of change, like having those 2 weeks off of school, and all of a sudden, this, that, and the other. Um it's just crazy. I should mention, by the way, because I already know that I'm getting off topic from my original, plot deviation towards depression, is that I press the record button and that's it. You get this. There's no editing here. This is a record button, and then I post it. So, um, no, I'll share my personal experience because I don't think this is going to be the most relatable podcast ever. I can't even call this a podcast. I'm just in my basement with a microphone watching sound waves. I um I started off the pandemic with a group of friends that I sat with every single morning, talking about God knows what. It was usually Skyrim and Star Wars that we talked about. I remember I had an entire document of me trying to figure out Star Wars, and let's be honest, it didn't go well. I was raised in a Star Trek household. There's no changing my mind on that one. Um, I had a strong group of friends. I was set to be a leader uh, the following year in my a cappella group. Um, my grades were average. And I was just a student who learned. I just did stuff. which sounds, you know, could you get any more boring? But that was kind of life. And then the pandemic hit. I was actually taken a day. I was taken out of school a day before my school personally just shut down completely. I remember, what was that one day going to do? It's been 17 months. I still haven't caught COVID. I say still as if it's inevitable. It might be. It might be. Um, but the pandemic happened, and I got to having a lot of time with myself. And I think that was my first mistake. Or maybe it wasn't a mistake at all. Maybe it was a success. But it was definitely something, because now I have an understanding of the life that I lead. In fact, so much of an understanding that that somehow I have changed career paths. College plans have been completely upended. Friendships have been formed. Friendships have been lost. And on the subject of lost, I think I've lost my mind. um, for those who don't really know me that well, which most of my Instagram followers don't, not a lot of people know me, I'm not going to lie. Even people I, consider friends and acquaintances, they don't really know, like, beneath surface level, because everybody saves face in this universe. Let's be honest with that. Everybody puts on a front for somebody, and that somebody can be a colleague, it can be their parents, their guardians, or even themselves. And trust me, I'm no stranger to putting on a front for yourself. But for those who don't know me, I'm non-binary, I'm asexual, and we're figuring out the romantic attraction part right now. It's a saga at this point. But over that pandemic, I definitely had a lot of time to consider and figure myself out. And as I was home alone, actually, about almost 2 years ago, I want to say, God, 2 years ago, I remember I was in my parents' room, and I was pacing back and forth. I was daydreaming, because I'm a maladaptive daydreamer, because I don't know how to cope with my own trauma. And I was listening to Soldier Poet King by the Oh Hellos. I was actually wearing the flannel that I currently am now. It's a 3XL men's green flannel. I remember I was just pacing back and forth, and I was vibing with the music, and it just kind of clicked for me. Like, holy shit, this is who I am. So that was pretty cool, figuring that out. Coming out to people was different. I actually didn't, like, officially come out until maybe a month ago. Couldn't do it in time for Pride Month. I was too much of a scaredy cat. Yeah, that was kind of it, Like, that was my, oh man, can't get any better / worse than this. And it did. It got a lot worse. It got so much worse. In fact, the worstness cancel out any better I think there was. Like, I got a better understanding of, like, my mental health, but oh my god, when you get a better understanding of your mental health, you just kind of realize, like, how fucked you are, Like, I don't say that, like, in a way that alludes to anything severe about my mental health. I, as a person, will say that I'm fine until the day that I die, even if I might not be fine. I am depressed. Let's go back, 7 minutes? I'm very depressed. And as much as I can say that, I'm okay, I feel like this podcast will be the key to me admitting that to myself, admitting that, yes, I am depressed. I need to get help for that. I'm trying to get help for that, and I don't need anybody to, hear this and go, "Oh my gosh, you're depressed. I can help. I can fix you. The only person that can fix me is myself. We're working on that one. It's a process, and I talk about this and might get heated about this, but like the fucking duality of man bullshit that I always talk about. It's ridiculous, People will baby you and infantilize your mental illness, right? Until it's the mental illness that keeps you bedbound, that stops you from brushing your hair, stops you from brushing your teeth, keeps you from the shower, keeps you from socializing. As soon as you're not somebody's little meow meow with a mental illness, all of a sudden you're a monster to society and you shouldn't be socialized with at all. So, and that's not something that's something that I personally don't deal with. I have my moments of demotivation. I definitely have those times when I just don't want to get out of bed in the morning, um and I feel like I have to specify to people, like, yes, I'm depressed, but I'm not that depressed, and like really pull back and put the quotation marks around it, because, society, we're fucking scared to talk about the heavy shit, you know? Like, and then when you do, I guarantee, like, there'll be a comment eventually, about like, oh my gosh, are you, suicidal? And they'll fucking say it like that. It's just like, can we talk about this? Can we genuinely have a conversation without like pulling back the language and like being genuine, right? Because I want to talk about it the same as if you like break your leg or something. You break your leg, you go to the doctor, you get that shit fixed, why are we treating mental health as if it's some foreign shit that we can't talk about? You can tell people, oh yeah, I broke my leg and I went to the doctor and got it fixed. But as soon as you tell somebody, hey, I went to therapy because I was very depressed, all of a sudden it was, why are you telling me this stuff? It's like, I'm not saying to like have it be an icebreaker at a college party, just like, oh, hello, my name is so and so and I am depressed. Here is some booze that I'm drinking. you know? But I'm saying that the conversation needs to be normalized, and it needs to be normalized not in a way of like Instagram posts that are like covered in flowers and pastel pinks that say how to tell if your friend's struggling with depression, but we need to have a genuine conversation with it, with the nit and grit and the shit that nobody wants to talk about. So I'm not saying that this podcast is going to be like that. I guarantee the next episode is probably going to be me rambling about my favorite food or something. But since I'm hitting you with the hard and heavy stuff right out of the gate, as it's almost 10 p.m. for me, we're fucking talking about it because I don't care, because I want to talk about my experience, because I don't talk a lot. So, ta-da. When I first realized that I was depressed, it was back in October when I definitely had a bit of a downward spiral that I don't think I've fully recovered from yet, and it's almost been a year. Yeah, yikes. It was, I believe it's October 19th, maybe. I might be getting the dates wrong, but I don't care enough to check my calendar for a shitty ass day. It was Monday, and we were playing D&D. I was playing D&D with my friend group, and this is going to sound so shitty, but you know what? Everybody's experience is different, and I don't care. I don't care. This is my experience. What happened? I was playing D&D, and my character died in the game. And that just kind of set me down this path of, it was like something I had put the past 4 years of my life into was just gone within an instant, just gone. I couldn't do anything about it, And as much as people can say, oh, it's just a game, for someone with my mindset, for someone with like my level of anxiety at the time, for my mental health at the time, that was almost as if I had drawn, like I had done a finger painting for my mother and she had shredded it right in front of me, And I don't blame the game for what happened. It's the game. It's the nature of D&D. You're going to have to make like a bunch of shit calls, right? but that's kind of like I got hit with that, and then my cat died, and I started having a case of I don't know what you call it. It was like every Monday and Tuesday, I would have to call out of school because I'd just be beside myself with like nausea and just migraines, and I would be exhausted and I'd feel like shit for the whole day. Wednesday I'd be fine, back to school. Monday would roll around again. I'd feel like shit for 2 days. Wednesday, it was a cycle, and I didn't know what was going on. I might relate it to the fact that my D&D game was on Monday, and I was in a period of waiting of, do I actually want to go back? By the way, 3 months later, the answer was no. I definitely felt like an asshole for keeping them waiting that long, but it is what it is. I had to handle things in my own time. So it was the case of my character died, my cat died. I dealt with a case of the Mondays like no other case in the Mondays. And I just felt like shit. So I hit a rebound, which was I decided to pour all of my energy into creating a world for my character, to create this new scenario where he did live. In second semester, 10th grade, I actually started writing a book about this character. And I submitted it for a grade, and it got a really good grade. And I decided chapter 5 wasn't going to be where his story ended. He would have a finished story. I never ended up finishing that story, spoiler alert. Maybe I will someday, but we'll get into why I didn't very shortly. So, I think I was on that weird decline / like upwards shoot of I'm fucking miserable, but here I am pouring all my energy into D&D. I went for it. I fixated on a character. I fixated on Critical Role, specifically Molly Mock Tea Leaf from Critical Role, and he kind of changed my viewpoint. You ever have something in your life that kind of like changes the way you think? This character, Molly Mock Tea Leaf, changed the way I think. He changed it so that I wouldn't take shit from anybody, right? And I would just be my own chaos. I was done with the conformity. You know, I wasn't going to listen to anybody tell me how to act, how to live my life. I was going to live my life and fucking rule at what I was doing. So I fixated on him, and slowly but surely my mental health started to get better. I had a shit couple of months and it got better. January rolls around, January 1st actually, and I was on a Discord call with my partner at the time, and it was New Year's, and I had just joined this Minecraft server. This sounds completely off topic. I promise you it's not. I just joined this Minecraft server filled with queer kids like myself. I was dressed up in my Molly Muck skin. I had just spent $25 to buy Minecraft. He was interested in it. I not so much, you know. Like I was interested in joining the server and definitely having fun because I love it when people share their interests with me. But I was just like, all right, I've got a Molly Mock skin on. I haven't played Minecraft in like years. I think the last time I played it, I was like, God, when was 2012? I haven't played it seriously since way back in the day. Sometimes off and on the Xbox or PS4, but really I hadn't played it seriously since Pocket Edition really first came out. I get on the server, we're having a good time, I start building a house, he starts building my house, let's be honest here, and midnight rolls around and the server restarts, of course it does. But as he showed me that little like that world that he was a part of, you know, suddenly there was talks about these YouTubers that did it, right? These Minecraft YouTubers and streamers. And lo and behold, a month later, my fixation on Critical Role and Molly Mock Tea Leaf had dissipated completely for the sake of Minecraft. Don't ask me how that happened. I didn't choose this, you know. It's a thing with fixations and hyperfixations. I personally keep mine at fixations because I'm not somebody who's diagnosed with ADHD or any autism spectrum disorder. I am just a person who has anxiety, and needed a way to cope with it. And so my brain latched onto the nearest thing for serotonin, and there we go. But yeah, then I found something else that changed my worldview, and we're not going to get into it. We'll get into it like 2 to 3 episodes from now. But hey, ever since February, here I've been, 6 months almost of whatever the fuck I'm doing now. So, and bringing it back to, have I gotten better? No. The fixation didn't cure anything. There is no, cure for depression as far as I know. It enlightened me, however, to whatever the fuck I'm dealing with. So there's that. It's just it's never easy, is it? Let me recline in my seat real quick. It's never easy, is it? Like dealing with mental health struggles. Because if we go to the broken leg analogy, you break your leg, you see a doctor, you get that shit fixed. With depression, it's, do you exhibit ABC symptoms? Also, D, E, and F. Do you do this, but do you not do this? You might have anxiety, or you might just have seasonal depression. You might have a personality disorder. It's a grab bag of traits that overlaps with so much shit, And I'd suffered from anxiety since I was 12, 11, 12. I've suffered with that. And then I got clocked in the face with some sexy PTSD. And now depression. It's the trifecta, I feel like. It's the trifecta of the most common, mental health issues in traumatized teens, It's great. It's fine. It's whatever, But I got dealt a shit hand. So when you're trying to diagnose depression, right, you have a hard time with it, because instantly you go to the doctors and you fill out that questionnaire, that anxiety depression questionnaire. And one of the questions on there is always like, do you have bad thoughts? And I use bad thoughts as a, you know what, fuck it, I'll put a trigger warning on the video. The questionnaire always asks, do you feel of hurting yourself or others? Are you suicidal? And I always answer no. And the answer I always get in the end is, oh, you're fine. You got some anxiety, but you're fine. Like, does it have to get that bad, right, for it to be recognized? Or should it, because I'm not telling people to go out and say, hey, go get yourself diagnosed with depression. I'm saying that it should be, as simple as the broken leg analogy. But it can't be. Our minds are much more complex than a simple femur. Fun little detour fact. Did you know that apparently one of the worst pains a human being can experience is getting their femur bone snapped in half? I learned that on a comedy skit. Whoops. I wish it was as simple as the broken leg. I wish understanding our minds was as simple as having a broken bone or having a boo-boo and having mommy kiss it and put a band-aid on it. I really wish it was that simple, but it's not. And I was in the doctor's like 2 months ago, and I was talking about my anxiety, and it was almost like an onslaught of questions of, so you don't want medication for it? Well, no, it's not as severe as it used to be. But you're sure that's not the route you want to go down? You don't want medication? It's like, no. And then just no other talk of it, because I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed. I didn't want to be like a kid in a candy store, right, at this doctor's office and say, could I get a depression diagnosis, please? I couldn't do that. What basis did I have? I had no proof. And then I knew the next words out of his mouth were going to be, do you have thoughts of hurting yourself or others, and are you suicidal? I didn't want to deal with that. So I simply didn't say anything. And I go to my therapist a bit later, and I ask, like, hey, therapist name, am I depressed? And you know what? And you know what they say to me? They say to me, well, yes, but you didn't need that diagnosis for therapy because we've been treating your generalized anxiety disorder. You're telling me I had it this whole time and nobody thought to tell me? You're telling me that I've suffered with intrusive thoughts, that I've suffered with, debilitating bad moods for months and nobody said anything about it? And I was the one that thought that I was, crazy for constantly being sad because people with anxiety don't get sad, they get anxious? Is that what you're telling me? I have minor frustration in my voice. I've already got my venting out to peers and to parents and stuff. It's just, where's my broken leg analogy? Where's my hey, we looked at the broken leg. It's broken. We're going to fix it now, you know? And everybody's, recovery journey is different. My recovery journey personally was fixating on characters to give me the serotonin I needed to, make it through the day, to exist and have fun and daydream about these characters and just live and exist and have a good life, I switched I switched things up. I'm allergic to corn syrup. And I used to be a kid that loved candy and sweets and stuff until they started, attacking my body and making me die. uh, but I started doing Diet Coke, and I was just like, man, I really love Diet Coke. Um, I started drinking it, and it was like one bottle a day, And I really gotta, don't follow in my footsteps. Don't start drinking Diet Coke because you won't be able to stop. And everybody hates the taste of it. It's an acquired taste. It's acquired taste for people who can't drink regular soda, like me. I started drinking Diet Coke and I was like, man, this is really good. What's in this that makes it so good? And it's artificial sweeteners, obviously, that could rot your soul away. But I noticed there was caffeine, and I was just like, am I addicted to caffeine? Am I like addicted to caffeine? So I asked my therapist, hey, am I addicted to caffeine? She said, no, 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 no. If you were addicted to caffeine, you would have like 3 bottles a day and you wouldn't be able to put the stuff down. So I'm riding that. I'm riding the fact that I'm totally fine. But no, it's it's this. I looked it up. Caffeine is an antidepressant. I've been treating my depression unknowingly for the past maybe year and a half more, and I haven't noticed, right? And that makes me question like two things that go hand in hand is what happens when I stop drinking the Diet Coke, and is when I stop drinking the Diet Coke akin to somebody going off their SSRIs. That is a weird thought that I don't personally want to feed into, right? Because we often talk, and I say we, and I mean my parents. My mother's a nurse. We often talk about what is an addictive behavior. Do you have an addictive behavior? And I always deny no. I from a young age, I've never expressed any interest in alcohol or drugs or drinking. Call me boring. I don't give a shit. Your opinion doesn't matter to me. You know. Um, but I look at myself and I'm like, is it easy for me to get addicted to things? I look at my fixations and I think that's not really an addiction, but maybe the Diet Coke thing could be. It's a tricky line to walk. So I ask myself, would I be able to wean myself off of this caffeine, this antidepressant, right? I think so. That's just me talking. I think so, right? Because I think I'm tough. I think I'm hot shit, Um, but you never know until you try, right? And is me, trying to stop that? Is that akin to, would I tell somebody who's on their SSRIs to stop taking them? The answer is obviously no. If you're on a medication and it works and you know that it's working, don't stop taking it. If you think that you're getting better, it's because of your medication. Don't stop taking it. I can't stress this enough, you know? For me, it's different though. This wasn't prescribed to me. This was something I started drinking and then it unknowingly helped me out. Anyway, off of the Diet Coke topic, unsure how we got there. Like I said, I press the record button and we just go. It's now 10 p.m. I didn't realize I'd be talking this long. I just kind of ramble. I'm not sure what I'm going to call this podcast. You'll see the name of it obviously when I put it up on YouTube. Do I promote this? Do I not promote this? I probably should promote something that I have to put a trigger warning on. Speaking of trigger warnings, let's talk about food for a second because we've been on the topic of Diet Coke, and this is just the episode where you just get to know all about me and decide if you want to stay for the next episode. Is this going to be weekly? Is this going to be monthly? Am I going to record this episode, say that there's going to be a next episode and a second and a third and a fourth, and me just abandoning the project? I have no idea. It's 10 p.m. I'm in my basement with a microphone. My hand hurts. Let's talk about food. I have a shit relationship with food. It's not good. I will often put it aside if I'm working on a drawing or if I'm working on writing. And when I do eat, my pattern is I will eat something that's really shit for me, pace around my room for like 3 hours straight, burn all it off, have something that's high in calories, high in like carbs or sugar or whatever, pace around my room, burn it off. And these they're infrequent enough. They're like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But sometimes, breakfast is 6 hours away from lunch, and then lunch is like it's like 6 hours away from dinner. When you really should be eating like every like 3 to 4 hours with like snacks, healthy snacks. And let's be honest, most of us would reach for the chips instead of an apple that you have to cut up. It's all about ease of access. I will say that. I feel like eating healthy, eating sustainably, that should definitely be more accessible to people. It's hard, because you want the good stuff and you got to pay, an arm and a leg for it. I'm terrified of Whole Foods. I look at Whole Foods and I just get overwhelmed with quinoa anxiety, So I'm not going to Whole Foods or Trader Joe's. When the pandemic first kicked off, Trader Joe's had a line around the fucking block. What's in there? What kind of cottagecore shit goes on in Trader Joe's? Do I want some of that? Absolutely fucking not. That line is witchcraft, I tell you. And I'm a witch. Fuck out of here with that bullshit. Right? But really my point is, eating well should be sustainable. There's not one specific way to eat. There's a million diets in the world. There's a million diet fads in the world. Don't fall for fucking diet fads. They're fucking disgusting. Get this hot body in 30 days. You lose more than what is it? I think it's 2 pounds in a month. There's an issue that definitely needs to be seen, and I wouldn't say, like I said, I gotta put a fucking trigger warning on this, but this is my personal experience, but I'm putting a trigger warning on this. It'll be in the description of the video. I don't think I have an eating disorder. I think I've got very disordered eating. Coupling that with my depression and anxiety, it's a recipe for disaster, no pun intended on the recipe part, right? But I don't think any of my eating habits are unhealthy to the point where I should consider, psychological help for it. I don't think it's there yet. I hope it doesn't get there, but that remains to be seen, as I can't see into the future. I may be a witch. I'm not that good. Yeah. That's kind of my grab bag here, We talked about a lot. I feel like, at some point there's not going to be an outro for this. It's just going to be cut the recording and I'll post it on YouTube. I probably won't even listen to this, when I publish it. I'm not sitting through 35 minutes of my own voice. You can do that for me. You can tell me if it's shit. I won't listen to you. I'll probably still do this, or I'll abandon the project. I have no idea. What am I doing now? Right now, I am. I'm jack of all tradesing it right now. I'm definitely doing that. I'm currently modding a Discord server, writing a book, doing a realism series. I'm going to VidCon. We're going to talk about this more later on. I'm going to VidCon, right? And I suppose we could talk about Twitter bullshit. I'm going to give myself 5 minutes to talk about Twitter bullshit. Twitter is on fire. It's usually on fire. It's usually shitting itself with fire, right? Because for some reason, since I have found my way onto MCYT Twitter, I quit Twitter, by the way, but I go back there every once in a while to post art because I draw sometimes. But the little glimpses I see of Twitter absolutely lighting its own ass on fire, it's fucking hilarious and infuriating at the same time. Because I will look at the trending tab. Oh my god. When someone's little meow meow, right, does something tiny, puny, pathetic, all of a sudden it's screenshots from 8 years ago and deleted Twitter threads. Fuck your Twitter threads, first of all. If you're starting beef on the internet through a Twitter thread, I want you to go outside and touch some grass. I'm not wavering on this shit. Like, there are better things to do than tell, like, 12-year-olds to kill themselves because they enjoy content on the internet. Fuck yourself. Go touch some grass. You know? I see this, right? And lately it's been a hellstorm because VidCon is in 2 months. The Delta variant of COVID is currently kicking off, right? And I'm going. I'm going, and I've seen legitimate death threats towards people that are going to VidCon. Like, I hearken you back to my touch grass statement, because if you've got nothing better to do than to do that bullshit, I want you to get the fuck out of here. If you do that shit, you're not welcome here. Sorry. I won't tolerate, just because somebody doesn't agree with you, just because somebody does something that you dislike personally, that doesn't give you the right to dictate their life. Stay in your fucking lane, It's all about respect. Twitter does not know what the fuck respect is, okay? Because you can hate somebody to their very core, right? But don't spit venom if you're not prepared to get it spit right back at you. That's all I have to say on that, So with Twitter shitting itself about going to VidCon and stuff, it's making me, how dare I spend my own money for a trip that I've wanted to do for ages now, I've been cooped up inside, as of all of you, for the past 17 months now. Oh my god, it's awful. It's awful. We'll talk more about my wanderlust, next time. But I want to get out. I want to see shit, I want to go places before I die, right? And I'm going to be in college for the next 6 years. I'm not going to have time to go anywhere. I'm going to be studying. The second I can study abroad, I will. I will. And I'll get out of the house. Oh my god, I can't wait to go somewhere, and live life, outside of what I know. I'm ready to step out of my comfort zone. So me, as a person who doesn't leave the state much, going across the country, yes, I'm gonna do it. And I know that VidCon is a huge issue right now. And I know that there are going to be people that are like, well, what the fuck? You want people to die? No, because if you're smart, if you have brain cells, you will know, right, that even if you're vaccinated, you're not fully protected against this new strain of COVID. I don't know a lot about vaccinations. I got mine because I need to go to college, and I also believe in vaccination. Get your fucking vaccines. I swear to God, right? I will wear a mask. I will bring hand sanitizer. I will wash my hands. I will not touch surfaces. It's common sense. It's common sense. Harkening back to the beginning of the pandemic. Use your brain, If you lived through the beginning part of the pandemic, thusly how to live through this upsweep of cases, right? I'm flying and I will be wearing a mask while I fly. You know? I I am going to this convention. I will be wearing a mask while I'm at the convention because I don't want to get sick. I don't want to get my loved ones sick. I don't want to get the people who I'm going to see sick. I will get tested beforehand, right? And if it's negative, I will go. If it is positive, I won't go because it's common sense and it's called a refund, right? So I'm going unless some circumstance dictates that I cannot go, because there's a difference between shouldn't and cannot, you know. I'm getting out of the house. And should VidCon be canceled, as so many people want it to be, which it won't be, by the way, because it's all about capitalism at this point. You know, they've made too much money for it to get shut down now, especially since a lot of popular content creators at the moment are going, right? If it gets canceled, right? I I will still go to LA, but I simply will not go to a canceled convention. I will go to a restaurant and be in my hotel or go to the beach, secluded from everybody. Like, there are ways to work around things, you know? And it's my money. I worked hard for the money that I'm putting towards this trip. Mind you, I'm putting money towards this trip while signing loans to go to college, which makes no sense. By the way, fucking cancel student debt, please. I actually want to be able to live in the future. Um, you know, it's just I'm tired of seeing the internet burst into flames. I'm here to look at cute cats and dogs, okay? I'm here to play video games and just live a life. I don't need to see, discourse every 2 seconds about something I'm interested in, because that's only going to make my mental health worse, right? If you fucking let people live their lives. Let people live their lives. I cannot tell you how many tags I have blocked on Tumblr because I just want to live my life. I want to experience my characters without having somebody, shove their shitty ass opinion down my throat. Let me have a little light in this world. Let people have happiness, because that's something the world has lost recently. The world has lost its ability to let itself be happy, because there's always one shitstorm after the other. There's always one more crisis to deal with. There's no time for joy. And when there is, it's often squashed and labeled as cringe culture, So before the world gets worse, give it some breathing room to get better. Let people enjoy what they want to enjoy. Let people go outside, the people with common sense, at least, I'm tired of seeing the world that we were born into. We did this to ourselves. We have no one to blame but ourselves for the shitty situation that we're in. There's no one punishing us for this. There's no cleansing of the earth. We fucking did this to ourselves, okay? We need to own that shit, treat it with respect, and just go back to having a little joy in the world, because God knows we need it right now. Honestly.